One of President Trump's biggest critics says he's being targeted for revenge. California Governor Gavin Newsom says he and his wife are being investigated by the Justice Department. He says there is no crime, just an effort to keep him quiet.
Donald Trump isn't just coming after me because of my mean tweets. He's coming after me because I'm considering running for president. You can subpoena my records. You can investigate me. You can harass me. Put my name on every and any enemies list you have, but leave my wife and family out of your personal vendetta.
This is not me chasing a headline. No, this is me following up on a money trail we've already talked about. And now that trail has federal attention on it. Gavin Newsom, Gavin Newsom and his wife now reportedly under federal scrutiny. And if you watch my last video on this to surprise you. We already talked about the nonprofits. We already talked about the behested payments. We already talked about the late disclosures. Now it is just showing up in bigger headlines. And Newsom's response? It hasn't really changed. See, he's still saying it's political. He says that Trump has a personal vendetta. He says that this is about stopping his 2028 run before it even starts. Ooh, and I hope it does. The truth is, it may be political. What is it? I'm not going to sit here and pretend that that's impossible, but here's the part they don't want you focused on. The money trail, still real. The nonprofits, still real. The behested payments, still very, very real. The late disclosures are still on paper. And his former chief of staff did not plead guilty to a vendetta. She pleaded guilty to federal crimes. That part is not a talking point. That part is a court record. So today's video is not a reset. Today is just a continuation. If you are new here, I'm going to catch you up fast. And if you've been here since the first video, you're about to see exactly why I said this story was not going to go away. This is not really about Trump. It was never really about Trump. It's about the machine. And the machine just gave us a new chapter.
After calling for my arrest last year, Donald Trump directed his Department of Justice to investigate me. And just in the last week, I've learned that his campaign has reached my own home. To get me, he's coming after my wife, Jen, a public servant, a woman who's dedicated her life to supporting women and girls, someone who has done nothing wrong other than having the temerity to advocate for what she believes in.
Now watch this clip closely, because if you saw my earlier coverage, you'll notice something. It's the same defense, almost word for word. He's saying the federal government is being weaponized against him. He's saying Trump is targeting him as he speaks out. He's saying this is about 2028. Now, that may work on a lot of people, and I know it does work on a lot of people, because the second you put Newsom and Trump in the same sentence, half the country stops asking questions and starts picking a team. One side says, this is a witch hunt. The other side says, lock him up. And that is exactly how the machine wants you to think. But we're not here doing that. No. Same rule as last time. The question is not, do you like Trump? The question is not, do you like Newsom? The question is whether the finances around California's most powerful political family can survive daylight. Because Reuters reported that federal officers in Sacramento have been running multiple investigations tied to Newsom since 2025. And one of those investigations, involving Jennifer Siebel Newsom, reportedly centers on taxes and a nonprofit connected to her. Now, that doesn't prove she's guilty. I said that the last time, and I'll say it again. But it does mean that this is not just some random rumor floating around online. No. There is a real federal matter here. There are real financial questions here. And Newsom's answer is still basically, it's political. Maybe it is. But that does not make the money trail vanish. It just gives people permission to stop looking at it.
To get me, he's coming after my wife, Jen, a public servant, a woman who's dedicated her life to supporting women and girls, someone who has done nothing wrong other than having the temerity to advocate for what she believes in. If they can't intimidate me, they'll go after the mother of our children.
Now, this is the part of the story I've been watching closest. Jennifer Siebel Newsom is not just the governor's wife. No. She is California's first partner. She is also tied to organizations like the Representation Project and California Partners Project. Now, on paper, the mission sounds noble: gender equity, leadership, media influence, public service. But the issue was never the mission statement. The issue was always the overlap. Because when your husband is the governor of California and organizations connected to you receive money from people or even groups that may have interests in the state, the public has the right to ask questions. And that's not a conspiracy, that's basic accountability. Reuters reported that California Partners Project has received donations from sources that do business with the state, and that Newsom personally solicited millions for the group since 2020. So again, this is not me saying a crime happened. This is me asking the same question I asked last time. Why are elected officials allowed to personally solicit large payments from wealthy interests in the first place? These are called behested payments. They're not normal campaign donations. They're not technically gifts. They're payments made at the request or the behest of a sitting official. And that is the gray zone. Because if a donor writes a check after a powerful politician personally asks for it, what does that donor expect later? Access? Goodwill? A return phone call? A seat closer to the table? That is the question California still has not answered. And that is why regular people like you, me, feel like there are two systems. One system for you, and another system for people who know how to move money through the proper channels.
Governor Gavin Newsom is once again facing criticism tonight after he was found violating state law. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on To The Point. I'm Becca Habiger. This comes after he just accused President Donald Trump and the U.S. Department of Justice of investigating him and his wife. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen joins us to explain the newly announced violation and the governor's response.
Well, Becca, the Fair Political Practices Commission says Governor Gavin Newsom failed to report financial filings on time. These filings relate to behested payments. And this comes as Newsom is currently under scrutiny for behested payments he's made in the past to his wife's nonprofit.
What the FPPC really found here is that Governor Newsom had failed to disclose these behested payments within the required time period. Sometimes it was about double the time period. In other cases, it went from almost a month to about a year.
According to the Fair Political Practices Commission, or FPPC, a behested payment is a charitable donation made at the request or direction of an elected official. Those payments are required to be reported within 30 days if they exceed $5,000. The FPPC says Governor Gavin Newsom filed 36 behested payment reports late for donations made in 2024 and 2025. Most of the money went to the California Fire Foundation during the Los Angeles wildfires.
Even though this is all about disclosure and this is all about just the lateness of the disclosures, that doesn't mean that there's no violation. There will still be a penalty, and it looks like Governor Newsom has still agreed to pay that penalty.
The FPPC says Newsom agreed to a $31,500 fine. The governor's office tells ABC 10 they admitted to being behind on filing the paperwork with the FPPC, citing the main focus being the fires in LA at the time. This comes as Newsom says he is facing a different investigation. He released this video on Monday accusing President Donald Trump of using the Department of Justice to investigate him and first partner Jennifer Siebel Newsom without sufficient evidence of a crime.
Here's the part that is already documented. California's own political watchdog, the Fair Political Practices Commission, said Newsom failed to timely file 36 behested payment reports. 36. That number is sitting in the FPPC stipulation itself. The same document says Newsom violated the Political Reform Act by failing to timely file certain reports in 2024 and 2025. So this part is not opinion. It's paperwork. And the most important part is what the FPPC says these payments can do. You see, they can create the potential for undue influence, especially when the person or group making the payment has business before that official's agency. That's the whole issue. Corruption does not always look like cash in a briefcase. Sometimes it looks like a spreadsheet nobody filed on time. Sometimes it looks like a donor, a nonprofit, a political relationship, a late disclosure, and the public finding out after the fact. The FPPC also said late or inaccurate reporting keeps the public from scrutinizing the relationship between wealthy sources and political power. That's the entire point right there. Wealthy sources, political power, delayed disclosure, and the public left in the dark. And the penalty, $31,500. For regular people, that's rent. For regular people, that's debt. That's somebody's car. That's somebody's savings. But in California's political machine, that can look like lunch money. And this is why folks have lost trust. Because when regular people mess up paperwork, they get crushed. But when powerful people mess up paperwork, they call it compliance.
But first, the woman accused of funneling money from a dormant Javier Becerra campaign account is pleading guilty to 3 of the 23 counts she faces for fraud and corruption. Welcome to ABC 10 Morning News at 11. I'm Walt Gray. Dana Williamson, Governor Newsom's former chief of staff, was in court this morning as her attorneys negotiated a plea deal in the case centered around one of Javier Becerra's campaign accounts. This for when he served as the state's Health and Human Services Secretary. ABC 10's Becca Habiger in court this morning. Becca, what do you know about the terms of this plea deal?
Yeah, well, today, Dana Williamson, as you said, pleaded guilty to 3 counts, and in exchange, the federal government is dismissing those other 20. Those 3 counts are conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud, subscribing to a false tax return, and making false statements to the FBI. Now, this all stems from a scheme in which Williamson partnered with 2 other co-conspirators to siphon $10,000 a month out of a dormant campaign fund for Javier Becerra. It was Javier Becerra for State Superintendent 2030. So there was a dormant fund, and Williamson's attorney in a news conference after court said to us journalists, this was a matter of my client being a good friend. He said McCluskey had taken a job in Washington, D.C. with Becerra, as Becerra was the Health and Human Services Secretary under President Biden at the time, and was not making enough money to support his family back in California. So McCluskey told Williamson, look, I need some extra money. So at that point, Williamson's attorney said they devised the scheme to give $10,000 from this fund to McCluskey's wife.
Now, here's where we have to be careful. Dana Williamson's case is separate. Newsom has not been charged in that case. Jennifer Siebel Newsom has not been charged in that case. Do not twist it, but also do not ignore it. Dana Williamson was Newsom's former chief of staff, and now she has pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit bank fraud and wire fraud, filing a false tax return and making false statements to federal investigators. The DOJ says the scheme diverted roughly $225,000 from a dormant political campaign account. That money was allegedly funneled through business entities and disguised as payment for work that was not real. On top of that, DOJ says Williamson claimed roughly $1.7 million in improper business deductions. Stuff like food delivery, luxurious late vacations, private jet, travel, home goods, veterinary services, personal expenses dressed up like business expenses. Again, this does not prove Newsom committed a crime. It doesn't prove that his wife committed a crime, but it does confirm the world we are talking about. The consulting class, the insiders, the political orbit, the people who move between campaigns, nonprofits, government office, donors, and power. And when regular people hear stories like this, they're not shocked anymore. They're just tired, because it always feels like the people closest to power have access to games the public never gets to play. And every time one of those games gets exposed, we are told not to connect any dots. But at some point, the dots become the story.
In the day's other headlines, California Governor Gavin Newsom says the Trump administration is using the Justice Department to investigate him and his wife, saying the move is politically motivated. Newsom says that in recent days, federal agents have knocked on the doors of friends and former employees looking for records of an unspecified crime. The Democrat also likened himself to former FBI Director James Comey and other Trump foes who have been targeted by the DOJ. But a source tells the NewsHour that there are at least 2 ongoing probes into those close to Newsom, which originated with prosecutors in California, not in Washington, D.C.
Now, let's zoom on out. It's important to note, Gavin Newsom is not just the governor of California. Gavin Newsom is one of the biggest Democratic names connected to 2028. That means everything around him becomes national. Every investigation, every nonprofit question, every donor question, every late disclosure, every person in his orbit. It all becomes national. And that is why Newsom has to control the frame. He desperately needs the story to be, Trump is attacking me, not what's going on with the money. No. See, one version makes him the victim. The other version makes him the story. And that is why public perception matters so much here. If the headline becomes Trump targets Newsom, then Newsom becomes a martyr. But if the headline becomes Newsom-linked money trail faces federal scrutiny, then he has a much bigger problem. So watch the language here. Political attack, weaponization, witch hunt, vendetta. Those are all emotional words. But listen to the words they avoid. Behested payments, financial institutions, tax questions, nonprofits, donors with business before the state. See, those words are not flashy. They're not as flashy. But those are the words that tell you where to look. So here's the update, plain and simple. I'm not telling you that Gavin Newsom is guilty of a crime. I'm not telling you that his wife is guilty of a crime. I am telling you, the public is owed real answers. And the media should not be allowed to bury money questions underneath a Trump versus Newsom fight, because that's an illusion. This was never just about one politician. This is about how California operates. The state always says it needs more. More taxes, fees, bonds, programs, emergency funding, more sacrifice from you and I. But when you follow the money, it always seems to land around the same kinds of places. Nonprofits, consultants, foundations, political allies, special interests. And then when the public asks questions, they act like asking a question is the crime. No, asking is the whole point, because California is expensive for a reason. California is expensive for a reason. Los Angeles is broken for a reason. Public trust is eroding for a reason. And stories like this are exactly why. I said previously, this money trail is not going away. And I still do not think this is the last chapter, so keep watching. Because once you understand how the money moves, you start to understand how the state really works. And that is what they do not want you to see. I'm Wolf Cage. This has been Wolf Cage Los Angeles. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And until the next time, peace.